A brand controlled 70% of the world market for 118 years. Then it released a single advertisement. 6 months later, it lost $8 billion. This is Gillette's story. That Sunday morning in January 2019, millions of American men were drinking their coffee as usual, looking at social media. None of them knew that that day, a century-old empire had begun to collapse. At 9 o'clock, a video was published on Gillette's social media accounts. 48 hours later, one of the biggest customer revolts in internet history had begun. King Camp Gillette revolutionized by founding the American Safety Razor Company in 1901. Until then, men used dangerous straight razors that needed constant sharpening. Gillette's idea was revolutionary: cheap handles, expensive disposable blades. This became the razor and blade business model before anyone called it that. During World War I, the U.S. Army gave every soldier a Gillette razor. When they returned home, they brought this habit with them. A ritual that would last for generations had begun. Fathers taught their sons to shave using Gillette products. This wasn't just a morning routine, it was the transmission of masculinity. Starting from the 1920s, Gillette established deep connections with the sports world. It sponsored baseball games, boxing matches, football championships. There were Gillette advertisements at every major sporting event. Men began to identify this brand with victory, power, success, and competitiveness. Using the brand became synonymous with winning. From the 1950s onwards, global expansion accelerated. It established dominance in European, Latin American, and Asian markets, with Track 2 in 1971, Atra in 1977, and the revolutionary sensor in 1989. Each innovation strengthened its leadership position. Competitors tried everything: technology, price, celebrity endorsements, but couldn't stand against the power of customer loyalty. But the real big move came in 1989. Nobody knew then that 30 years later, the same slogan would pave the company's path to disaster: the best a man can get. This slogan, introduced in Super Bowl 23, was just an advertisement, but within months it had embedded itself into the DNA of American male culture. Athletes shaved with Gillette before championships. Movie stars used Gillette before walking the red carpet. The emotional connection was much bigger than advertising. In 2005, Procter & Gamble bought Gillette for $57 billion. It was P&G's biggest acquisition in history. Gillette was one of P&G's most profitable divisions, generating $6.2 billion annually. With its share exceeding 70% in the global premium razor market, the empire seemed unshakable. In 2018, Gillette executives faced a problem. Market share had dropped from 70% to 54%. The grooming division's revenue had decreased by 26% over 3 years. The brand that had established dominance for over a century was losing customers. Cultural change played a big role. Beards had become fashionable. Men's average shaving frequency had dropped from 3.7 to 3.2 times per week over the decade. Young men were growing beards, watching beard care tutorials on YouTube. The U.S. shaving market itself had contracted. Manual razor sales fell 5.1% from 2017 to 2018. But the real threat came from a completely different direction. Dollar Shave Club was founded in 2011. In 2012, its founder published a YouTube video where he looked directly at the camera and said, "Our razors are great." The video went viral. They received 12,000 orders in 48 hours. Their websites crashed. The message was simple: why pay $25 for cartridges when $3 razors are good enough? Subscribe and they'll deliver to your door. The subscription companies had something Gillette didn't have. They felt like brands built for the new generation, not their father's brands. Gillette leadership understood the problem. Gary Coombe, who ran P&G's grooming division, accepted the challenge. In 2018, taking a stance had become a marketing strategy. Examples were everywhere. Nike made Colin Kaepernick, who knelt during the national anthem, the face of their Dream Crazy campaign. After the Parkland shooting, Dick's Sporting Goods completely dropped assault rifles. These weren't ridiculous campaigns. They were coming from global brands with billions in revenue. Nielsen research showed that 66% of consumers would pay more for products from socially responsible companies. Marketing agencies were giving the same message to their clients. Brands should represent something beyond products. The timing seemed perfect for Gillette. The Me Too movement was dominating headlines. Corporate America was scrambling to be on the right side of history. Executives saw an opportunity to benefit from the cultural moment when male behavior was being held accountable. It was a chance to connect with young consumers who cared about these issues. Kim Gehrig was an unexpected choice. The Australian director was London-based, having built her career making controversial feminist advertisements. Her previous work included explicit campaigns celebrating female anatomy and challenging male authority in ways that would make marketing executives uncomfortable. Grey New York agency wanted exactly this. They were looking for directors who would bring radical perspectives to male brands. Gehrig and her team believed that traditional masculinity was inherently harmful and needed to be reconstructed. Female executives at P&G supported the radical approach, despite warnings from experienced experts who understood the risks of marketing. The campaign was planned for simultaneous launch in dozens of countries. On the morning of January 13, 2019, at exactly 9 a.m. Eastern Time, the We Believe advertisement was simultaneously published on all of Gillette's social media platforms. Within the first hour, negative comments began flooding in faster than moderators could delete them. Men expressed feeling attacked, betrayed, and insulted by a brand they had trusted for decades. The comment section became a digital battlefield where customers turned decades of loyalty into anger. By noon, the dislike count had exploded past 50,000. By evening, it reached 200,000. Within 24 hours, over 400,000 people had clicked dislike, while those who approved were a very small fraction of that. The view count told an even more devastating story. 5 million people watched the ad on the first day, but these were views of anger, not admiration. Each view represented another potential customer learning to hate the brand. Social media platforms collapsed under coordinated resistance campaigns. As Boycott Gillette trended worldwide, customers turned their anger into actionable rebellion. Men filmed themselves throwing away their razors, breaking apart Gillette products, and dramatically switching to competitor brands. Viral destruction videos accumulated millions more views than the original advertisement. YouTube's algorithm began working against Gillette, suppressing the original video while promoting critical response content. Every related search led to parody videos, reaction channels, and angry commentary that amplified negative messaging. While social media burned, the real destruction was happening at cash registers across America. Sales fell off a cliff. Industry analysts would later calculate that Gillette lost more money in 6 months than most companies earn in a decade. Financial devastation began immediately. Retail partners across America reported dramatic drops in Gillette purchases within the first week after the campaign launch. Independent analyst reports dissected the financial carnage. Their research revealed that Gillette lost approximately $350 million in revenue during the 6 months following the advertisement. Gillette's commanding market share began eroding at unprecedented speed. For decades, they had maintained control of over 70% of the premium razor market. Competitors had tried everything to break their stranglehold. Lower prices, celebrity endorsements, nothing had worked against the power of customer loyalty. The We Believe campaign accomplished alone what billions in competitor spending couldn't achieve. Harry's razors gained massive market share as men searched for alternatives. Dollar Shave Club saw subscription numbers explode. Even traditional competitor Schick experienced their best sales growth in years. As angry Gillette customers permanently switched their loyalties, the damage spread beyond razors. Shaving cream sales plummeted. Aftershave products remained unsold. Grooming accessories gathered dust on retail shelves. The Gillette brand had become toxic across all product categories. Procter & Gamble's quarterly earnings reports told the disaster story in corporate language. The grooming segment showed consistent declines throughout 2019. Revenue dropped, profit margins compressed, market share steadily eroded quarter by quarter. When faced with an $8 billion write-down, P&G global grooming president Gary Coombe made a statement that shocked the business world and sealed his brand's fate. The mounting criticism and catastrophic financial losses demanded answers. Industry observers expected contrition, course correction, maybe even resignations. August 2019, 6 months after the disaster began, Coombe stated that the $8 billion write-down was worth paying. The words hung in the air like a confession of corporate insanity. No major CEO had ever publicly embraced such massive losses as acceptable collateral damage for marketing messaging. Coombe expressed no regrets about the campaign. He confirmed that Gillette would continue pursuing progressive social campaigns despite the catastrophic backlash. Alienated traditional customers were an acceptable sacrifice for what he called social progress. The business community reacted with stunned silence, followed by explosive outrage. Shareholders demanded explanations. How could a CEO celebrate the destruction of billions in value? Coombe argued that alienating older customers was necessary to attract younger, more progressive consumers. He positioned the losses as proof of Gillette's commitment to social justice causes. And the cost of this decision emerged months later. Gillette hadn't just lost money. They had lost the loyalty and respect earned through generations of reliable service. Modern technology amplifies customer revenge at unprecedented speed. Social media platforms can organize boycotts faster than any company can respond. A single weekend can destroy what took decades to build. In 2024, the numbers wrote the end of the story. In Europe, Gillette's monthly sales dropped from $1,961 to $49, a 97.5% decline. The brand had problems: near-zero profitability, declining sales, weakening market position. Gillette made 3 critical mistakes. First mistake: they focused on the wrong audience. The campaign reached people who would praise it but not purchase it. With 51% targeting women, they addressed people who weren't in the men's razor market. The Toluna research revealed the gap. 77% of viewers felt hopeful after the ad, but only 34% said it made them want to purchase Gillette products. Second mistake: they confused product relevance with cultural relevance. Nike succeeded with Kaepernick because sneakers are public, visible, worn as statements. Razors are private, utilitarian, used in bathrooms where no one's watching. Some products carry cultural meaning, others just solve problems. Third mistake: they told existing customers they were the problem. The ad spent most of its runtime showing men behaving badly, then asked those same men to buy razors. Positive examples came only at the end. For many male viewers, the message felt like accusation rather than inspiration. Gary Coombe called the backlash a price worth paying. 6 years and $9.3 billion later, Gillette is still paying it. Maybe that's the real lesson. You can lecture your customers. You can take a stand. You can generate millions of views and worldwide conversation. But at the end of the day, someone still has to buy that razor.